All right, so Jimmy asked me to review today's trade between myself and Danny. Today's November 21st, 2019. We are 1 week away from the League of Shadows trade deadline, and I'm going to do him the honor of reviewing this trade, even though it violates my own rules of not reviewing trades that I'm involved in. I'll go ahead and do it anyway because it was you know, such a blockbuster and involved so many different players and assets and picks and whatnot. Let's just get right to it and take a look at all the details here. So I'm just going to read through it. If you don't remember all the players and picks that were involved here, you can go and look at the home page and everything's right there. And you can read through everything and see every player and pick that was swapped in this very extensive deal today. So today's trade, I give up Jay Ajayi, David Montgomery, Geronimo Allison, Paris Campbell, my own year 2020 round one draft pick, the DGens from Upcountry's 2020 round one draft pick, which has been highly sought after because, as we know, Alex's team this season is towards the bottom of the league, so that pick is expected to, be pretty high up there, likely top three, if not top two, or maybe even first overall. In addition to that, a 2021 round two and three draft pick. So some future assets there coming over to Danny as well. On my end, I'm receiving from Danny Le'Veon Bell, Kenyon Drake, DJ Moore, Allen Robinson, Josh Allen, defensive end in Jacksonville, not Josh Allen, quarterback in Buffalo. Although I would like him. Whoever has him, I think it might be you, Jimmy. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, we can talk about that. And a year 2021 round three draft pick and a year 21 round four draft pick. And to round it out, I also received $50 in free agent auction bucks from Danny. So I don't know how useful that'll be this late in the season, but if some guys pop up, like just as of recent, the Jonathan Williams, Bo Scarborough type players that might be, those emergency fill-in starting running backs for teams with injuries where you might be able to squeeze some production out. The bye weeks are over after this week, so there's not going to be bye week fill-ins needed, but there could be need with possible injuries going down the stretch. Whatever it might be, some more blind bidding money to snag one of those waiver wire assets for now and possibly even for the future as well if it happens to be a young player who's just not on a team right now and flashes before the end of the season. So grading the trade, looking at both sides here. Let me start with my side. I'm going to give myself a B minus on this trade. Although in a vacuum, I guess if that's the right phrase, if I'm using it appropriately here, you look at this trade and you say, couldn't you get some, higher tier assets to push yourself towards a championship run? Because that's obviously what I'm trying to do here by giving up, early draft picks in a very highly touted 2020 draft class. But really what it comes down to is in an 8-team league, and I'm kind of justifying things here because I felt that I needed to make a move. And when you have 8 teams, there's only so many trades that can be made amongst those owners. You don't necessarily want to be trading with the top teams and not only, giving them more assets for the future, but also trying to compete against them when they already have well-established teams. But it depends on the owners that are willing to talk, and I dangle those picks out there, and whoever is willing to engage in conversation and really talk through trades are going to be people I'm most likely to make that deal with. And I think some of us are just a little bit more trade averse and like to hold on to our players and our assets, which is totally respectable. But I'm a guy who likes to make splashes and move around, so that's what I did here. Giving myself a B minus in this case because again, I don't know for sure. Nobody really would, even if you got the top player at every position, if it was going to be the trade that puts you over the top and gets you at least into that championship game, if not a run at the title. But I think it sets me up well to do that this season, and there's some assets here that can bode well for the future as well. The only real aging asset here is Le'Veon Bell because he's a running back and he's already 27 going on 28. So the viability is going to decrease there. But Kenyon Drake's young. He's in a new situation now and he's already shown the possibility of being a lead back. DJ Moore, stud potential there by most accounts and already showing some signs if he starts showing some of that positive touchdown regression as we've probably been seeing in a lot of different places if we read about players. Possibility for him to really do big things, not only now, but in the future, even more so. Allen Robinson, a solid wide receiver asset in a not so great situation, but it could still turn around a little bit more before the end of the season, get some of that production stabilized a little bit here. Could become a lower floor player at least. higher floor rather, and could do well in the future. Young rookie defensive end in Josh Allen, always valuable in an IDP league. And then, I moved down basically around for each of my 2021 draft picks. So not a really big change there, even though you see all those picks for 2021. It's not that big of a difference there, moving down from one round on each of those, and Danny moves up one round. Yeah, that I say that now, it's not a big deal. It could be a big deal if there's, second round players coming out in a couple years from now that are, that could be productive assets on a team, but it is what it is for right now. It's just sort of a one round swap there. On Danny's end, I've got to give him an A minus on this trade because getting 2 first rounders in any trade is huge, especially going into a class like 2020. You still are able to move up around in each of your 2021 picks, so slowly increasing the value of your pick assets and everything like that going into 2021. And, you also get a starting caliber rookie running back who's got a lot of promise for the future in David Montgomery. And Paris Campbell, he's at least got the tools and some of the skill set to be a dangerous player in the future. Of course, the injuries have slowed him down in his rookie season, and he hasn't had a chance to do much. I think he's got 1 touchdown on the season, a few hundred or so receiving yards, if that. I'm not going to really look too deep into his stats. You can check those out to verify that. And then, of course, Jay Ajayi and Geronimo Allison, really more throw-ins than anything just to balance out the players here, so I didn't have to drop as many guys. And I know Danny loved getting Jay Ajayi on his beloved Philadelphia Eagles. Hopefully he gets some carries before the end of the season. And Geronimo Allison, just a third string, maybe even fourth string wide receiver in Green Bay there. But he's only in his 4th or 5th year, and we've seen wide receivers. We've seen them pop even later than that in some cases. Nobody comes to mind right away as I'm thinking about it now, but there are guys who have definitely started to flourish much later in their careers compared to a lot of the other positions. Wide receivers have a longer shelf life. So B minus on my end, A minus on Danny's end. I think he really loads up for the future here, and I think overall this gives me at least a better shot at either dethroning Ty from the championship block there, and hopefully blocking Jimmy out from getting that next title. But when all's said and done at the end of the day, it's not only those 2 guys, but whoever gets that 4th playoff spot. I mean, granted, the top 3 are pretty locked up at this point, but that 4th spot, it's looking like max right now, but that could change. And we've seen teams score 250 plus points that seem to be out of the playoff race. So it's anybody's game when you get down to that matchup at that point. It just remains to be seen. It's going to be an interesting few weeks here. And I hope that we see a few more trades in the next week or so. I'll review any additional trades that happen from now until the end of this trading season here, now until the deadline. And also there was a trade between Brian and I yesterday or the day before. I gave Brian a 24th rounder for Drew Brees, so I really am loading up at quarterback as well. I'm trying to catch you guys, Jimmy and Ty. I'm looking at you guys. That scoring differential, that average is, it's decreased a little bit, at least on paper. So we'll see what happens these final 3 weeks. Good luck to everyone as we push towards the playoffs. And hey, for you guys that don't make the playoffs, I was in your shoes last season. There is a consolation bracket, and there's another first-round pick to be won there, albeit at the end of the first round, but it's a loaded class, so that consolation bracket is really big this season. So good luck to everyone, and get some more trades going so I can post a couple more of these videos before next week. All right, see you guys later.